Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Okay, the Office of the Special Advisor on Investment to the Governor of Delta State was created, with a view to advise government, on viable investment, review policies, if need be, and advise government on same, synergize with existing government ministries and MDAs, to formulate policies that will better suit investment opportunities in Delta State, most especially with the ease of doing business, which has been a bane for quite some time. And then come up with realistic reforms, without being told, investment is more or less competitive in Nigeria right now, and people want to go to places where, doing business will be very, very easy for them and they will feel at home. And that's part of the things we are doing in that office to make sure that whoever comes to Delta State, we have, a very wonderful story to tell at the end of the day.
Why Delta
State? Yeah, because it's the right destination for investment. Like I tell people all the time, Delta State sits at a very, very pivotal position, If you're going to Abuja from Delta State and someone is going to Abuja from Lagos State, the man going to Abuja from Delta State will get there first. If you're going to Lagos from Delta State, you will arrive there first before the man that is going to Abuja will arrive there. So Delta State sits, in a position to serve its people in the south-south, to serve its people and brothers in the southeast, to serve its brothers and people in the southwest, and most especially in the north. Now, when you look at logistics and every other things that you want to think in terms of moving goods and services around, you find out that Delta State is strategically located, to drive prosperity in Nigeria. And then you also need to look at the abundant human and natural resources, not also forgetting the mineral resources that we have in Delta State. So in all facets, we are well positioned and well placed, to drive the prosperity of the states and then Nigeria as a whole.
Before we talk about bringing the world to invest.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, like I said when we started this program, that is part of the thing the office is doing. The most important thing is to engage with our diasporans, with our local diasporans, let me use that word, with Deltans, that are scattered within Nigeria, to find out exactly, why aren't you comfortable in doing business in Nigeria? And that drive has been initiated and started by my office, reaching out, to Deltans, including existing businesses, to know their challenges so that we can, put together a system, that will mitigate whatever challenges that they have. So we're already doing this, listening to them, reaching out to them, and part of these things also comes with the ease of doing business, like I said earlier on, which part of the things we are proposing today is the Ease of Doing Business Council, whereby we can critically examine why people are not comfortable doing business in Delta State. And I can tell you without fear or favor that most of these things have been looked into, and very soon you're going to experience that boom in Delta State.
I'm glad you mentioned an item, ease of doing business.
Yes. Okay, first of all, most of these people, when you look at them, they're in Lagos, okay? And then you begin to ask yourself, why are they in Lagos? You're talking about accessibility. Somebody wants to leave for New York right now, he can jump on the flight and it's off. Anybody coming into Nigeria gets into Lagos first or Abuja first of all. So that becomes an attraction. And then because Lagos has been the capital city, the federal capital city, before now, before it was moved to Abuja, so they grew from there. So for a state like Delta State, we are toddlers, but we can call ourselves giants today because we are doing great things. And now, in order to make sure that we have investors come to us directly, we have the Asaba Airport, which is arguably one of the best in Nigeria today. I can tell you without fear or favor that if you want to talk about the first three airports in Nigeria, you talk about Abuja, Lagos, you have to talk about Asaba. Okay? So we are also working seriously to upgrade, the airport to an entirely different standard where we can actually handle cargoes and every other thing to attract Aboras, from the southeast to start sending their cargo directly to Asaba. So if you look at Asaba today, if you come to Asaba today, you will understand that Delta State, Asaba in particular, is the fastest growing city in Nigeria today. What happened to it in terms of property, in terms of road network, infrastructures, and all of that. So it's thriving because we realize the fact that we need to invest, in critical infrastructures, to make people comfortable when they come. So we are moving forward, and hopefully within the shortest possible time, most of these things will begin to manifest. Most especially when I have a governor today who is desirous to make Delta State one of the best states in Nigeria. And then he's listening to those advices and then taking them into consideration with a view to ensuring that whoever comes to the Delta State doesn't leave. Because when we create that incentives for you that you need and make the environment conducive for you, you will definitely invest in Delta State. And we are beginning to see flurries of people, coming into Delta State, both from the local sectors and then from the international sectors. So before you know it, I think we can start competing with Lagos. That I can tell you for free.
Sounds like Destination Delta now.
That's correct. So when you think investment, you think Delta State.
Okay. So what are the key sectors of interest?
Okay. Delta State is virgin. When you talk about human resources, I think I can confidently say that we rank first in Delta State. That is evident by the number of institutions you have in Delta State today. You can see that clearly. No state in the entire federation can compete with Delta State when it comes to that. Now, but don't forget that as a growing city, all the sectors need to run concurrently. And that is why we can't come today to tell you, oh, this is the area that is most suitable or most important. Every area in Delta State, is virgin and investment is needed. And we're talking to investors to come in. You talk about ICT, superb. You talk about education. We're doing exceptionally well in that. You talk about health, the healthcare sector. We're working assiduously. Then you now come to the mineral resources. Don't forget, Delta State, we've procured licenses for kaolin, which we have in abundance. And hopefully investors are already coming to partner with us in that area to develop it. We talk about urea, fertilizers, and all of that. So these opportunities abound in Delta State, and people are taking advantage of it. Then come to talk about the mineral resources, the natural resources that we've been blessed with. You know that Delta State has abundant gas reserves, even if it is on the exclusive list of federal government, right? But we have the largest reserve in Africa, located in Delta State. So we are also tapping into that to mitigate the effects of not having electricity, across the state. And then we are working assiduously with different partners to ensure that we have light, which is part of the key elements of investment and development. Because when people come, they know you have electricity, and then you have good road network, they want to invest. So we are taking advantage of that to ensure that within the shortest possible time, Delta State will be illuminated. Every nooks and corners there is going to be illuminated, and we'll say bye-bye to darkness. And that is one of the essential things that will drive investment and attract investors to come and invest in Delta State.
How does this current strategy differ from what has happened in the past?
Well, if you look at the last administration, they worked so much, they did so much. Most of this information were not out for people to actually say. And then this current administration is building on what that administration did, okay? And at the same time, coming up with other new opportunities that will suit the people of Delta State. You saw what the governor did when he came into office. One of the first things he did was those award of contract for roads in Warri, which is a major city that needs urgent attention. Once Warri is working, the port of Warri is working, then forget it. The prosperity in Delta is going to boom. So the strategy is working. Everybody understands, what the destination is, one Delta, to move Delta State forward and make it the right destination for investment in the country.
Okay. How have you looked at? Because, of course, I saw where you met with the Irish ambassador.
Yes. I think you need to understand that in as much as we encourage our local investors to invest in Delta State, we're also looking at the fact that we need inflows to also come in. And that's where the foreign direct investment is actually needed. So while we continue encouraging our people to invest in Delta State, to invest back home, which is important, your home is your bedrock, it's your foundation, we cannot take the FDF for granted. But it's also important to know that for any economy to be sustained today, you need to look inwards, locally. And that is where, when you come to agriculture, we are supporting our people, encouraging them. When you come to other sectors, we're encouraging them. But it's also, when you look at what is happening globally today, Nigeria is not just peculiar. But let us look at the case of Nigeria in terms of recession, economic struggles and all of that. It is also difficult for you to find that funding locally. It's very, very difficult, because the purchasing power, the strength, to put in these funds are not really there. So at the end of the day, you need to balance it by trying to attract as much as you can, from the offshores. And that's where the FDI become very, very important. So there's no way the FDIs also will work, without partnering with the local investors. It's also important. Because the raw material you're going to source locally in most cases. So both areas are going to work concurrently. They'll work hand in hand, to ensure that prosperity that we're looking forward to. Okay, meeting with the Irish ambassador was an eye-opener. It was a very, very good one. A wonderful man that we spoke to who truly loves Delta State. And since then, there have been a couple of opportunities, that have been opened up, most especially in the area of ICT and education between Ireland and Delta State. And we intend to build on that, explore that opportunity, and make Delta State an ICT hub. If you look at what is happening in the world today, Dublin in Ireland is becoming the Silicon Valley of the world, where everybody is moving down to. So why not explore that opportunity? Microsoft is not going to give you a contract in Nigeria directly from the US. They have to go through Ireland. You can Google and find out. So if these people are intermediaries to getting things done, why not talk to them? To showcase what you have, your strength and all of that, so they can invest in your place. So these are the things that I looked at critically, and I started to explore that opportunity. Aside talking to the Irish ambassador, we are talking to a host of other critical players, in other different sectors. And like I said earlier on, very soon, we're going to be unleashing all of these things, and it will be there for you all to see that will really mean business, and then truly Delta State is the right destination for investment. And whenever you're thinking investment, you have to think Delta State first.
Yes, so I have two questions here now. We're on the home cruise now. The first is, you've spoken to the Irish ambassador, like you said, the host of...
The first thing that comes to your mind when you talk about Delta is peace, security. We have it.
Okay.
You can move anywhere in Delta State freely. And that's what any investor is looking at. But it's also important to know that no investment comes on a platter of gold. Everything you do around the world is built around relationship. So you need to convince someone to come and invest in Delta State. Who are you, first of all? In as much as we have a good track record as a state, we also need to leverage the relationship we have with people to make these things work. Okay? So having a personal relationship with the Irish ambassador is a good one. It's a wonderful relationship which opens up the door to other opportunities that are bound. So you talk about a couple of people, the likes of Stephen McDavid out of the US from Zora Technology. You talk about the likes of Yanchuk, from Turkey, the STF Medicals. So you begin to look at all of these people. What is incentive? Why do they want to come to Delta State to come and invest? It's relationship. So these relations are not built overnight. They are built over the years. That track record is there, that trust. People need to trust you to leave their comfort zone to come and invest in your place. And like I said earlier on, the most important thing is creating that ease of doing business, which is very, very important to us. Having that one-stop shop that people can say, okay, this is Delta, this is there, this is what I can get, and all of that. And we know that when we get to Delta State, we don't have challenges. The government is going to support us, the communities are going to be friendly and all of that. People want this, and that is what we have, and that is our strength.
When you talk of this, my mind goes to
Okay, unfortunately, I'm not able to comment on that because there is an ongoing investigation. You don't comment on a matter that is being investigated. Otherwise, you might be making the wrong comments by the time the real answers come up. So until such a time that the investigation are concluded and we know exactly what happened, we won't be able to comment on that. But let me tell you clearly, you won't say because there was a fracas or whatever it is in Okwama that makes data bad. No. Everywhere in the world, even in South Africa, you can't be walking on the street with your bag and then you open your purse to take money. Somebody's going to take it away from you instantly. You won't see that in Delta State. In America, the rate of crime is extremely high. Shooting on the street and everywhere that you don't have that in Delta State. So it's also important that for those of you in the media, when you report, you draw a proper comparison so that you don't kill your own country and your own state by making those negative reports. We have crisis in Nigeria as a whole, no doubt about that. But these are pockets of crisis compared to what happens in other parts of the world. And Delta State, I can tell, for instance, you saw what happened late last year, early part of this year. We won the award to be the safest place in terms of investment in oil and gas. We were the most peaceful in the entire South region. So that tells you something. That we are peaceful people. We want people to come and invest, because we want to grow. That's the simple truth. So Okwama, for me, is not a problem. And we can't comment on it until the investigation is concluded. But that is not a yardstick to judge Delta State in terms of being safe and secure for investment.
Lastly, what's your catchphrase?
Yeah, that they are welcomed. And we are ready to support them. We are ready to assist them in whichever capacity that we can to make sure that whatever they come to do in their State, that they have it and it's working effectively. Very soon, we'll be putting together the first ever Delta State Investment Summit, and then we'll bring in people from different parts of the world and different parts of the country, to come and see what we have in Delta State and for them to really see the strength of Delta and the need for them to invest in Delta State.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.